sectoral po, so iba-ibang...
So you would not know if the seed and fertilizer distribution program was a success for last year. Wala kang percentages?
Wala po.
Wala pa. Sige po. Maybe in the next gathering we can have more details. Okay, so yun po yung sa rice sector. Now, we have a special sector presentation for this morning. Narinig nyo na pa kanina yung indigenous peoples. And the general statistic that was provided was 40% of our arable lands in the Philippines is owned by the indigenous people. So they're a very critical sector of our population. And I'm pretty sure yung economics nila doon sa kabundukan, sa hinterlands, medyo very tight din yan. So we've invited our regional director, our director for Mindanao, the Philippine Chamber of Agriculture and Food Incorporated Director for Mindanao. Please welcome former Undersecretary of the Department of Agriculture, Mr. Roberto Ansaldo. Bob, you have the floor.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. I have a presentation. Bigay po ako ng 9 copies dun sa Secretariat. So those that need it, lapitan mo po sila at bibigyan kayo kung kailangan. Alright. Yung topic po is focusing on the indigenous peoples or lumad communities to achieve the Chamber's advocacy initiatives for 2023 of water security, climate change, and credit access, and dagdag po ako, and more. I have here, I will just go through my presentation para quick and concise because we have a special guest that I invited today. Punta po siya. Siya po si Atty. Bart Estrada. Bart, si Atty. Bart Estrada po, yung dato ng lumad community na natulungan po namin sa USAID program 1987 to 88. He's also now, incidentally, hindi dahil sa programa po, pero is now the National President of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. So, Attorney, thank you very much for coming today. And I want to give half of my time to Attorney Bart to be able to talk about his own experience sa napagdaanan po nila. So, because this is the first time that I'm going to meet you, I thought I'd just mention a little bit of my background para at least siguro tinatanong po ninyo, sino to na hindi pa namin nakikita? Because I have to travel all the way from Mindanao. Pero nung nabanggit ko po sa last Board of Directors meeting 3 or 4 days ago that we have to address the lumad problem, Chairman and President agreed absolutely and he said, please present that during the next press conference. So, ako po ay yung, as mentioned earlier, Northern Mindanao, Director for PCAFI. Mentioned also, I used to serve under the Cory administration, si Carson Aquino. This is important, and I have one colored handout. Anybody that's interested in this, I will give it to the Secretariat ng PCAFI to replicate for you. Ako po yung Board Chairman ng Apu Palagbuan Education and Cultural Center for Lumad Children in Bendung, Bukidnon. Malapit na ho yun sa boundary ng Agusan. 4 hours from Cagayan de Oro. Established and directed by Reverend Father Pedro Walpole. Meron lang po kaming 400 children, 50 scholars, mga anak po ng mga lumad na nag-aaral po doon. The write-up is here on that school and the approach that they have. Ang galing po mag-alaga ng mga forest at tinuturuan po ni Father Walpole ano yung species at lahat nun, kailangan po yun. I also packaged and directed a USAID project from 2017 to 2018 for the Cagayan de Oro Chamber of Commerce and Industry entitled Inclusive Growth for Inclusive Business, in which we capacitate a lumad community, yung po yung community ni Atty. Bart, to access capital from Land Bank of the Philippines, negotiate a purchase agreement with Kennymer International, cacao po yung pinili nila, and establish a cacao plantation on the ancestral domain. Re-report lang sa akin ni Atty. Bart, they started with 12, ngayon 50 na po. 50 hectares na ng cacao. Initiative is in line with PCAFI's 2023 advocacy initiatives of water security, climate change, and initiatives on credit access for agriculture as demonstrated by the Luman indigenous community. Much gratitude to the PCAFI board for including the Luman initiative sa conference po ngayon, and the presence of the press today. Inadala ko po na mamitayo. I only have two more to read from, and then I'll bring in Attorney Bart. Why the focus on Luman communities? NCIP and DAR data indicate that as much as 25 to 40% of our arable lands are ancestral domain, whose residents, Lumans, remain the most neglected sector in the Philippines. Lahat ho na naririnig ko ngayon, import, import, import. Kulang ng pagkain, kulang ng itlog, kulang ng bigas, kulang lang. And yet, ang dami po ng lupa na hindi nakakultivate, yung nakatira po doon, mga luman, hindi sila makautang ng kwarta para ma-develop ng area nila. Parehas po yun sa agrarian reform. Land purchase, acquisition, and distribution, pero yung capacity building ng mga maliliit na magsasaka para pumunta sa bangko, umuda, para ma-develop yung area nila, hindi po natupad. This is just an extension of the ancestral domain. Number 2, some progress has been made on certification of tribal claims and granting of certificate of ancestral domain titles (CATIS) by the National Commission for Indigenous Peoples (NCIP), but little to no attention towards capacitating them to access capital. Discussions were welcome during the open forum. Most Lumad communities still reside in the watersheds, though many have moved to population centers. Halimbawa po, sa Malaybalay, bumababa sila sa mga ancestral domain nila, and they live in the cities because of the children going to school. Leaving them, however, to their kaingan practices for food. Yan ang tinatanim nila. Inaarabo po yan every 3 to 4 months. Dinidistore po yung lupa. Erosion. Pag ulan, ang lakas ng bukid doon, sometimes 3-4 days successive yan, saan pupunta yung lupa? Sa mga streams, rivers, kagaya the overall, silting, nawawala yung topsoil. Okay? So, the crops itself, nakakapag-affecto sa watershed retention. Water security. Yung luma talaga tutulungan natin para makapagtanim ng mga kahoy. Okay. Next. The 2018 USA program provides a methodology towards PCAFI's advocacies of water security and access to capital. Replanting deforested communal areas with high-value trees like coffee, cacao, abaka. Sanay ho ang mga lumad dyan sa abaka. Bamboo. This requires access to capital, which the USA program did. And Attorney Bart is giving an example. Nakaulan sila sa land bank, binigyan pa sila ng aid ni Governor Subiri at that time. Last paragraph. Most of the anti-government insurgents reside in the watershed areas around the country. The initiative also promotes improved peace and order in the countryside, aside from water security, climate change, and access credit. The lack of economic opportunities and income sources provide the perfect setting for the communist recruitment effort. Most of the recruits to the NPA movement today come from the indigenous Lumad youth who look at taking up arms as a job, trabaho po lamang, an opportunity to earn income. No political bias against the government, except that they are essentially out of the development spectrum. The most common alternative to the Lumads is leasing out their catties for annual lease payments. Halimbawa po, saging, piña, del monte, dole, gano'n, and a job. This is better than nothing, but they suffer the irony of tilling their own lands as an ordinary laborer. Napakasakit po. So, wala ho yumayaman sa ganong klaseng trabaho. At yung lupa kanila pa. the bottom line, the holder of the land has to be the cultivator of the crop. And to cultivate the crop, they have to have access to capital. I will end my talk there. Attorney Park, start.